Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2025 big budget Netflix film, The Electric State. The film is directed by Anthony and Joe Russo, and it stars Chris Pratt, Millie Bobby Brown, Woody Harrelson, Ke Huy Quan, Woody Norman. We have Anne Russo, and we have Stanley Tucci. Right. Okay. Now, the film is set in an alternate universe, I suppose, an alternate version of our planet. There is a war that takes place between mankind and robots. The robots essentially are fed up of being told what to do and they want kind of rights for themselves. So they rebel against the state. They end up essentially losing the war, the robots, and are kind of put behind these impenetrable walls and kind of, there's a peace treaty put together. So there's been like a peace for a short number of years. Millie Bobby Brown's character, Michelle, is an orphan because her family died. Her brother that she was really, really close to also ended up dying. And she's on her own. However, she's visited by a small robot that claims to be her brother. This essentially sets her on an adventure to find her brother, her real brother, and she needs the help of Chris Pratt's Keats, who is a smuggler, really, and they kind of head off together, try and unite the robot factions in order to fight back against this evil corporation that essentially is zombifying humanity and oppressing the robots. Right. What are my thoughts on The Electric State? Well, there's a lot, as usual. Anytime there's like any kind of big budget film that comes out, there's a lot of discourse online about it. A lot of people flapping their gums about how absolute shite the film is, all this kind of stuff. And so, I mean, I was always going to check this film out anyway. I mean, it's the Russo brothers, Chris Pratt, Millie Bobby Brown. It's got a great cast, big budget behind it. So I thought the trailer looked cool that I saw a few months ago. I was always going to watch this one anyway. But I was extra intrigued, if you like, for some of the negativity that was getting kind of splattered against this film. And honestly, guys, I have to tell you, I found this to be a perfectly entertaining film. Nothing more, nothing less. This is, in a lot of ways, it reminded me of Ready Player One. It's nowhere near as good as Ready Player One. I thought Ready Player One was exceptional. But it's a very, very similar story, in my opinion. It's completely harmless, very simple story, really. And, the story is she's trying to find her brother. She teams up with a load of robots, and this evil corporation is trying to stop her from getting to her brother, basically. It's very simple stuff. It's not a complex film. It's not a complex plot. It's not meant to be. And this really is a family film. It's, we don't get these kind of films anymore. Not really. And if we do, we get people chiming in on them, complaining about how, they're not complex enough. Oh, it's not intelligent enough. Oh, it doesn't make sense. And I'm just like, God almighty, you wouldn't have survived in the 80s, these people. Because they basically just described every single 80s film pretty much. Films are meant to be fun and entertaining. They're not all meant to be, hard-hitting, gritty, grounded, full of deep and intellectual performances and, full of, modern sensibilities or any of this tosh. Films aren't meant to be just that. You can sit down in front of a film, stick your feet up, have a bit of popcorn with your family and enjoy a film. And that is exactly what this is. It's very simple. And I think people just get so drawn into this negativity. I think sometimes people just assume the film's bad because somebody said it's bad online, so therefore they must be telling the truth. And it gets right on my nerves. Make up your own minds. Watch the film. If it's not for you, it's not for you, but try and think who the film is for. And this clearly is like meant to be an entertaining family film. Is it going to make my top 10 films of the year? Definitely not. It's too simple for that. There isn't enough going on in it for that. There is no memorable performances, but there is a fun film here. I thought the effects in this film were done very, very well. It had a certain amount of charm to it. Chris Pratt brought his usual Chris Prattness to the role. He was fine. He wasn't given what you would describe as a great deal to do, but his character's fine. Millie Bobby Brown is Millie Bobby Brown in this. Again, she's not given anything overly memorable to do. She's given a couple of speeches here and there to do, and I suppose if you're being massively critical, I wasn't overly impressed with Millie Bobby Brown's performance here. But it doesn't mean it's a bad performance. It just means that, she didn't put any, oomph on it or anything like that. It's just a performance. There's some cool designs, I think, going on here for some of these robots. I thought they looked almost like a steampunk vibe going on with it here. And I liked it, even though the film was very, very predictable. You get your battle at the end and all this kind of stuff, but it was well done and enjoyable, but if completely harmless. The villains in this piece were poor. I mean, you've got Stanley Tucci, who plays the main villain here of this corporation that essentially ended up winning the war for humans because they kind of built this kind of VR helmet that control these other robots. But after the war, he turned it into technology for mankind to kind of live another life, which is what's kind of zombifying the population. But he's using that technology in a fairly sinister way. He's using the brain power of Billy Bobby Brown's brother to kind of do it. So, but it's just a one-note, one-tone pantomime performance by Stanley Tucci. Nothing to write home about, really. And that's, again, while I found this entertaining, and I'm giving this, a fairly healthy 7 out of 10 because it is entertaining. It's not troublesome or anything like that, but it's also not pushing any boundaries or anything like that. If it did cost a reported 300+ million to make, well, that's not Netflix's money to blow, innit? It's not getting a cinematic release, so they can make a film for 50, 100 or 300 million. It's their money. If they want to put all that money behind this film and try and make it a spectacular film, well, in one sense they've done that because the effects and everything are pretty spectacular. The film itself is just fairly standard, you know what I mean? It is nowhere near... I saw a post on Facebook, I think it was last night, saying worst Netflix film of all time, and I don't normally comment on these things, but I had to comment and say, well, it's just not, is it? It's just not it's not a film for you. Why would they say it's the worst Netflix film of all time? It's that kind of mentality that bothers me. I think people just do it for clickbaits and stuff, and it really, really bothers me. If you're wanting a fairly easy film to watch with the family, stick it on with the whole family and have a fairly good time watching it. It's not going to change your life. It's not going to do anything like that. But it is certainly a watchable film, in my opinion. So thanks for watching, guys. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on this film. And I will, of course, be back with plenty more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.